Big Ten athletic departments are 1 to 2 years away from cutting many sports from their budgets in the era of revenue sharing, according to those in the know. The list of programs may surprise you. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey, hit that free subscribe button down below while you're watching and share, like, and follow so you don't miss a single episode. We got past 18,000. We're making a push to 20,000 subscribers by football season with your help. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So, which Big Ten athletic departments and which athletic programs might actually get cut due to budget constraints? Plus, our 3 Big Ten softball teams made it to the Super Regionals. We'll praise them. We got recruiting news because we do that every day. Plus, we've got Tuesday tweets, which are always fun. So hang on to the end for that. Catching up on my college athletic reading over the weekend, I saw a quote from Georgia football coach Kirby Smart. He was on the Paul Feinbaum show, which we quote a lot here on this podcast. And he boldly stated that we are 1 to 2 years away from witnessing major cuts to sports that major Power 4, Power 5 schools offer all across the board. Big Ten, SEC, ACC, you got it. You name it, we got it. They're going to cut. Why? Well, we're entering the days of revenue sharing. We're right on the doorstep. It's here. And this is where Power 5 schools, including the old Pac-12 schools, they're going to have to pony up $21 million a year for the next 10 years to pay past, present, and future athletes. Part of the whole House settlement, $2.8 billion that we've been talking about for a long time here on this podcast. The majority of that money, though, is going to go to football players. And some of that money will go to basketball players. And that money will be important and added to the mix of the many factors in play to entice players to come and or stay at a particular school. There's not going to be a lot of money left over for non-revenue sports when we get into this new era of college football any day now. Now, there's a small percentage of non-revenue sports that are rare examples, but all college sports outside of football and some healthy basketball programs, they're non-revenue sports. They really don't help out with the bottom line. They're a drain on the bottom line, but schools like to offer these programs because they have for decades, and in some cases, hundreds of years. Football money drives everything in an athletic department. And now that schools are required to peel off the extra $21 million from the bottom line for revenue sharing, some of these other sports are not going to make the cut. Athletic departments are going to have to make some tough choices regarding which sports they will continue to support. But the Big Ten, and then we're going to talk about the Big Ten because we're locked on Big Ten, but the Big Ten does have some very successful non-revenue sports. Now, success on the field or on the court does not always translate to success to a school's bank account. Some come to mind. Penn State wrestling, right? Best wrestling program in the country. Perennial national champions. I looked up some financial records. The most recent ones I could get were the 2023-2024 fiscal year at Penn State. Football brings in $113 million a year in revenue. At least it did in that year. Men's basketball, $12 million. Men's ice hockey, $4.6 million. Wrestling down lower on the list at $2.4 million. But wrestling at Penn State, as dominating as it is, reported expenses that year of $3.3 million. Revenue, $2.4 million. Expenses, $3.3. It lost almost $1 million. And that's a successful program. They got to take care of 33 wrestlers, 2 full-time and 1 part-time assistant coach, daily expenses. It's a money loser. Iowa's women's basketball team Well, that got a lot of headlines last year. Very popular in Iowa, always has been. But women's basketball was non-profitable before Caitlin Clark showed up. And they did see drastic spikes in ticket and sponsor revenue, and they did become profitable. But now she's gone. And we'll surely see a reduction in money at Iowa women's basketball. It will be a drain on the athletic department. How about Nebraska's women's volleyball? Now, this is an outlier, just to educate you a little bit. According to Husker Illustrated, for the 2023-2024 fiscal year, this team generated a very impressive $7 million of revenue and made a profit of $1.3 million. That's pretty good. Many of us will never forget the summer of 2023 when they sold out the football stadium, Memorial Stadium, for an outdoor match on national TV for women's college volleyball. An attendance record. It was phenomenal. That's an outlier for the quote-unquote non-revenue sports. That's a revenue sport at Nebraska. Nothing to worry about there. You think of other schools, UCLA softball. Think about how successful they are every single year, again this year. But the athletic department as a whole is in a huge debt. And the football program hasn't been overly successful. So, they had no choice but to leave the Pac-12 and go to the more lucrative Big Ten. That was the driver of that decision. And I'm not picking on UCLA. They're not the only one in the red. I mean, 3 months ago, we did a podcast dedicated to Ohio State. That's one of the most successful athletic departments in the country as far as revenue generating athletic departments in the country. They had a $37 million deficit in a recent year. So, I mean, top to bottom, it's expensive being an athletic department. And I remember one of the Buckeyes, I remember the new athletic director, Ross Bjork. I remember one of the first interviews he did when he took over the job. He was preparing fans by saying that, tough choices are going to have to be made even at Ohio State regarding non-revenue sports. He said every effort will be made to keep everything in place, but it's going to be hard to do. And this was about a year ago that we talked about that interview. It's tough. It's tough at even places like Ohio State. Washington's Patrick Rishi, executive director of sports business, says that universities are making tough decisions everywhere and not just in sports. Says the bottom line, school presidents are going to be asked whether it makes sense to continue or carry various programs, athletic department or non-athletic department. Smaller schools have already been quietly eliminating sports like women's tennis or men's volleyball. Back in 2020, UConn dropped 4 sports affecting 120 athletes. But based on Kirby Smart's recent comments on the Paul Feinbaum show, the cutting is about to get much louder and bigger and more visible at some of the more well-to-do schools and even some of the well-to-do sports. Tough decisions are going to have to be made. Anyway, this is what life is like as we enter the new era of revenue sharing here moving forward in college athletics. Love your comments on it. I thought it was just an interesting conversation. Kirby Smart, I know he's an SEC guy. I know he's a Georgia guy. But everything he said applies to the Big Ten and all the schools in the Big Ten as well. I mean, Ryan Day might as well have said what he said because every school is going to have to be looking at this. Anyway, we'll love your comments on that on YouTube. Hey, be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below. You'll never miss a single episode, and share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten. And don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10.com. That's with the number 10. All of our podcasts go there chronologically, and we group them by school. But at the bottom, you can click on, get merchandise for your favorite school. Any school in the Big Ten right there. Show your school spirit for the upcoming 2025 season right there, along with our podcast at our website, talkbig10.com. We'd love to have you peruse that as well. All right, coming up, a lot to do. We'll obviously keep you updated with recruiting. We always do that. Ducks, Buckeyes, Wolverines, USC, all making news. We have the Vegas odds for Michigan's season opener. We're getting closer. We're going to get some more of these trickling in. We'll let you know what the point spread is on that. Big Ten softball, 3 of the 8 teams that made the NCAA tournament are now in the Super Regionals. We'll talk about all that, and we've got our Tuesday tweets, all that coming up here in 1 minute on Locked On Big Ten. NBA playoffs, pretty exciting. They're in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in the action than right now. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off or live betting, when the game's underway, player props, performance trends, same-game parlays, anything you can think of, it's right there. Always like to look at a couple players. Tyrese Halliburton is a guy I like to keep an eye on with the Pacers as they now move on against the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Always take the over on his points. The guy's going to deliver every single night. Plus, $200 bonus. How's that sound to you? You can add that to the excitement if your first $5 bet hits. New to FanDuel? That's right. It's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right. I want to thank everybody for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Thank you. Be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below, share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And check out our website, talkbig10.com. All right, yesterday's podcast, we hailed the Nebraska softball team for winning its regional championship by defeating Southeastern Louisiana and claiming a spot in the Super Regional for the first time since 2014. Jordy Ball, who we've talked about on this podcast before, continues to look like the player of the year, both as a pitcher and a hitter. Also, UCLA and Oregon. When we were doing our podcast for yesterday, taping it Sunday night, UCLA and Oregon were still going late on the West Coast in their respective regionals. And they, of course, they ended up winning their way through. The Bruins beat UC Santa Barbara 12-1 and 5 to advance to their Super Regional, and Oregon had to beat Stanford twice on Sunday. They did 15-5 and 6, and then 10-7 to advance to the Super Regional. So congratulations. It's been a great postseason. The 8 Big Ten softball teams make it to the NCAA tournament. All of them are to be commended. And now we got 3 of those 8 moving on to the Super Regionals with Nebraska, UCLA, and Oregon surviving and advancing. Nebraska will take on 7th-ranked Tennessee at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, Friday in the Knoxville Super Regional. UCLA takes on 8th-ranked South Carolina, 1 p.m. Eastern on Friday. That's 10 a.m. Pacific time. So if you're on the West Coast, get up a little earlier and check that out. On Friday, they're in the Columbia Super Regional. And Oregon faces Liberty at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. They're in the Eugene Super Regional. They are the Eugene Regional and now the Eugene Super Regional. All rested. They haven't had to travel. You talk about home field advantage. The Oregon Ducks have had it. So good luck to all 3 of these teams as they move on and represent the Big Ten in the Super Regionals. Speaking of the Oregon Ducks, are you ready to talk about the class of 2027? Not 25, not 26, 27. Dan Lanning is circling a 4-star wide receiver Dante Tyson as a top target here, but Oregon has to get in line a little bit here because this kid already has 20 offers and a couple of Big Ten schools, Nebraska and Washington, along with FSU, Tennessee, Texas, and Texas A&M. He's from Peoria High School in Arizona, and he has played both wide receiver and running back. They want him as a wide receiver. Had 45 catches for 647 yards. And he's been a Ducks fan his whole life. So I think they might be the clubhouse leader. Dan Lanning has also offered Bill Belichick and UNC target 4-star running back Amir Brown a scholarship. His home state is North Carolina. Does he want to stay home? Does he want to go anywhere else? But it seems like Notre Dame has slipped in, and they're the leader for this kid right now. And the Buckeyes also, the Ohio State Buckeyes, have their eye on a 3-star defensive lineman from Cleveland, Jameer Perez. But he's choosing to leave the state of Ohio and play for Florida. He just announced that. Maybe he likes the warmer weather. I don't know. Iowa, Wisconsin, Alabama, Kentucky were also interested in him. He's a big kid, 6'4", 360 pounds. Now, let's talk some Michigan football for a minute. Word is that Michigan Sharon Moore is trying to flip 2026 five-star wide receiver Tristen Keys. He committed to LSU back in March, but then he scheduled a visit to Ann Arbor in April. So these things are never done until they're done. He is the number one rated wide receiver in the country and a top 5 player overall. Now, you're probably thinking, I mean, the irony is not lost on me here, that here you got a kid that's a number one player at his position. He's committed to LSU. Think about flipping to Michigan. Where have we heard this story before? That's right. Bryce Underwood, the number one recruit in the country, number one quarterback in the country, was all committed to LSU and Brian Kelly right up until the last minute when Michigan swooped in with $12.5 million of name, image, and likeness money and stole him away. So Brian Kelly must hate Michigan right now. Brian Kelly keeps recruiting all these top-rated kids, and then Michigan keeps trying to take them away. It's part of the deal. It happens everywhere. So as far as Keys goes, the wide receiver, last year he racked up 1,275 yards and 11 touchdowns, 14 touchdowns and 58 catches. 6'3", 190 pounds out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. That's Brett Favre's hometown, right? So Michigan trying to flip him out of LSU and get him out of the region there. And we also want to keep an eye on Houston 4-star safety Chase Calicut. So 6'3" defensive back. He's got down to 3 schools. Michigan is one of them. 2 other SEC schools will play here, Georgia and Texas. He's going to visit all 3 in June. And I always think the order is important. I think whoever's last on the list maybe has the best closing argument. He's going to visit Georgia first, then Michigan, then Texas last. Maybe he wants to stay at home. We'll see. We have the odds. On Fridays, we always do our picks, our pigskin picks, basketball picks, odds for certain things. We have our first line for a Michigan game in their season opener over against New Mexico. It's 100 days from now. We're ready to go with the start of the season. Michigan is a 34.5-point favorite in that game. 71% of the action already is on Michigan to cover. Now, look, you look at the schedule. Michigan typically wins its openers against these quote-unquote lesser schools. Well, Michigan's got a lot of questions, right? First of all, as of right now, we think Sharon Moore will be coaching the game because the suspension is for weeks 3 and 4. We don't know if that's going to be enough to satisfy the NCAA. We won't know that till after their June hearings on Spygate. And then the NCAA's got 45 days to make an announcement, which will bring you right up until late July on day 1 of the Big Ten Media Days in Las Vegas. So, question marker coach. Brand new offensive coordinator, Chip Lindsey. It'll be his first game with the Wolverines. And likely, it'll be a first game with a rookie quarterback, Bryce Underwood, who, as we speak today, is still 17 years old. Doesn't turn 18 till August. All this newness. Michigan could get out to a slow start. Sure, they'll win the game, but Michigan could get out to a slow start while they kind of iron some things out, and that might make a 34, 35-point margin a little difficult to get. Also, a question mark with safety Rod Moore and his ACL, who we talked about a couple days ago here. He finally showed some video of him running a little bit, not real fast, not a lot of zig and zag to it. 14, 15 months after an ACL tear. His recovery has been slow. It's been really slow. Some other players to keep an eye on. USC, they got a 5-star cornerback recruit, RJ Sermons. He's out of Rancho Cucamonga and continues to dominate in track and field and making news. Super fast guy. Won the 100 and 200 meter events of the CIF Southern Section track and field finals. Ran a 10.36 and a 29.2 in those events, respectively. And this is 2 weeks after winning the Baseline League Championship in the 100 and 200. So he's good. It's a good get for USC. See if they keep him. They lost a big recruit earlier this week. But they still have the number 1 rated class in America. All right, if you're new to our podcast, you know how we like to do our third segments on this podcast. Very exciting. They're a lot of fun. Mondays, we do our top 10 observations from the weekend. Tuesdays, we do Tuesday tweets. It's Tuesday. Wednesdays, we like to power rank. We're going to power rank some academic stuff. We haven't really done that before. That always gets people fired up. Thursday, we're going to look at the Big Ten Network and highlight some Big Ten classics and live action you might want to watch this weekend. Memorial Day weekend. You need a break from whatever's going on. Just veg out and watch some stuff. We'll tell you what's on there. And we'll have some odds to look at on Friday with our picks. But Tuesday tweets, I always invite you to hit us up at Twitter, at Talk Big Ten. I'd be more than willing to put something you put out there on this podcast every Tuesday. But we've got our Tuesday tweets. Going to bounce around with a lot of fun stuff. Hang on. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, it's time for Tuesday tweets, one of our favorite segments of the entire week. If you're audio only, no problem. I'll describe to you in detail what we have here. We'll put it on the screen. I got about 10 of them here today. They're a bunch of fun. We'll check these out. This is from at College Football Live, and it is 4 logos, a box of 4 logos of Oregon, Tennessee, Alabama, and Clemson. It says the only teams to finish the regular season ranked in football, men's basketball, and baseball. So we got one Big Ten team, Oregon, in there, 2 SECs with Tennessee and Alabama, and an ACC team with Clemson. So it's a pretty impressive athletic year. Here we go. This is from Nebraska, from LJS Luke. It's the 2025 Nebraska softball team regional champions, taking a team photo, going to the Super Regionals. Congratulations to them. Fun picture there. And speaking of which, we got Jordy Ball, who we've talked about before, a picture of her on the pitcher's mound celebrating. And this is what she did in the regional final championship win. At the plate, 2 for 2. One of them was a home run, by the way, 23rd of the year, which is a Nebraska record. Remember, she transferred from Oklahoma. Got an RBI, scored 3 runs, 2 walks. And if that's not enough, on the mound, by the way, she's 25-6 this year. Got the win. 6 innings, no earned runs. Just gave up 1 hit and struck out 10. Best two-way player in college softball. Unreal production. Absolutely true. Wanted to throw that out there on the tweet. That was a good tweet of her. Phenomenal year. Phenomenal year. This is from at ESPN. This is a video, about a 45-second video of Oregon walking it off in the 7th to punch its ticket to the Super Regionals with the softball team. What a finish from the Ducks. Go back and watch that video. It's a lot of fun. Walking it off into the Super Regionals. Here's one from at the Big Ten Huddle. And it says Big Ten football stadiums ranked from best to worst. See, there's other people do rankings here in the summertime. This is from College Sports Wire. So let's take a look at it. They got Michigan, the Big House, ranked number 1. Penn State number 2. Ohio Stadium number 3. Washington Huskies Stadium at number 4. Autzen Stadium for the Ducks at number 5. I might move that one up just because of the atmosphere. Iowa got that at number 6. That place is electric at nighttime. Nebraska at 7. UCLA and the Rose Bowl, one of my favorite places out there. Michigan State Spartan Stadium at number 9, and the Minnesota Golden Gopher Stadium rounding out the top 10. Got the old Coliseum at USC at number 11. You know, I'm going to stop just right here. I'm going to tell you, I think, first of all, with 18 teams, and I think we got a lot of great venues in the Big Ten. I don't know how you rank these. Illinois at 12. Wisconsin, Camp Randall, only 13th. See my point here? So many good ones. You got a place like Camp Randall. It's only 13th. Northwestern coming in at 14th. Ryan Field. I don't know if this is old Ryan Field or what they're expecting with new Ryan Field, which will be done in another year. Old Ryan Field, they absolutely tore down. And they were playing on the lacrosse and soccer field along the shores of Lake Michigan on the campus. So I don't know. Purdue Ross-Ade Stadium at 15. Got Rutgers at number 16. Indiana as a 17th, as a Hoosier. That's an outrage. This is a beautiful stadium, and they've been selling it out now. This is way underrated. Yes, that is my alma mater. Maryland coming in last, 18th. All right. Well, that's one person's opinion. I'm sure we'll hear some comments about that. These are not my opinion. I told you I would have changed a lot of these if it were up to me. Good discussion, though. Here's from at PFF College Football with a picture of Jeremiah Smith, who will now be a rising sophomore at Ohio State. Jeremiah Smith is undoubtedly the best player in college football, the number one returning wide receiver of the 2025 season. I won't argue with that. That guy's spectacular. He would have gone to the top 3 of the draft this year as a freshman. Here he is on another picture. The College Football Report, now that rosters are pretty much finalized, who's winning the national championship? We got a picture of Arch Manning at Texas, Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State, Drew Aller at Penn State. We got the Klubnik kid, the quarterback at Clemson. One of these 4 winning the national championship? What do you think? You know, Penn State's in the convo, and we'll see if Ohio State, with all these weapons, but a brand new quarterback they're breaking in. Meanwhile, Drew Aller is the most experienced quarterback in the Big Ten. Here's from that Big Ten softball. It's a montage of Nebraska, Oregon, and UCLA. All of the ladies, those 3 teams, all advancing to the NCAA Super Regionals. As we mentioned earlier with the schedule, Nebraska at Tennessee, Liberty at Oregon, and UCLA at South Carolina. Good luck to all of them. Hashtag Big Ten softball. Here is Penn State athletics, the lacrosse, going on to the Final Four. This is a nice, fun video to check it out. Them celebrating their the final seconds and then their win. And here it is again, team photo collage at Big Ten lacrosse. What a comeback! Yeah. By the way, the Nittany Lions. I failed to mention this. They were six down. And then they bounced a 2-time reigning champ Notre Dame to advance to the regional semis. Final Four, Penn State men's lacrosse. Congratulations to them. And Caitlin Clark, even though she's not in the Big Ten anymore, having had represented Iowa in the news again. What a huge weekend against Angel Reese and the Sky versus the Fever. The hard foul made a lot of news this weekend, but that's not even what this is about. This is at the C. Clark Report, the Caitlin Clark Report. She's on the cover of Slam magazine. All dialed. Caitlin Clark, number 22, all dialed in. She put on a little weight, hit the curls this offseason, by the way. Yeah, she took a bit of a beating earlier in the first half of last season, and now she's bigger, stronger. 1 game, got a triple-double already. Anyway, I wanted to share that tweet as well, because that's what we do on our Tuesday tweets. Hope you enjoy that. Send me one. Hit me up at Talk Big Ten, and we'll put it on every Tuesday. Tuesday tweets right here. Power rankings tomorrow. Many ways for you to interact with this podcast. You can hit me up on Twitter, like I said, at Talk Big Ten. Don't forget our website, talkbig10.com. That's the number 10, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts and merchandise go right there. No matter what you do, hit that subscribe button before you go, please. And it's free, and that way you'll never miss another episode as we make our push to 20,000 subscribers before football season starts. We always invite you to check us out for a second listen. If you missed yesterday's, go check it out. Also invite you to check out our friend Brian Smith with the Portal Show. All the Portal comings and goings. He's on top of everyone, all the teams, especially your favorite Big Ten teams. So check him out. The Portal on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. In the meantime, thank you for checking us out. We always ask you to spread our podcast word of mouth. I know you know a Big Ten friend, a family member, because you're a fan. I know you know other fans of the Big Ten. Let them know we're out here every day covering all 18 teams, all sports, with news, opinion, and analysis all under one umbrella here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, can't wait to talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks for joining us here today. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll talk to you next time.